Okay, welcome. Welcome back to the Gauntlet. What are you laughing about already?
It's just, we just spent 20 minutes trying to make to just even start making this video.
Yeah, man. So we actually, little backstory. We actually saw a couple movies over the holiday, and we couldn't review them at the time for various reasons. And so we figured, well, this would be a good way to do it. This is a good way.
It's so
And
easy. So
and all,
non-committal.
all I can say, just if you want an unofficial review, is fuck Zoom.
Oh no. We
Yes.
like we like you, Zoom. Please don't ban us.
Nope. Nope. This has been just an ordeal. Zoom
Uh,
has been a pain in the butt tonight.
mhm.
So hopefully we can get these videos up. But anyway, that's enough of the technical issues. So here we are. We are back running the gauntlet, trying to get these last films of 2021 reviewed, so that we can put the year in the rearview mirror and move on to hopefully greener pastures. So today we discuss with you Sing 2.
Sing too.
And right off the bat, I'm just gonna say maybe it's just living in this world of franchises and all this, but I find the title just very lazy.
Very lazy.
Yeah, I know I grew up in the '80s when everything was this two and that three, and but these days I find just putting a number at the end of the title just so lazy.
Well, I mean,
No subtitle, no,
they this title itself was one word, 4 letters, like, I mean,
sing again,
um,
sing louder,
sing some more?
sing some more, sing harder.
Nah.
Sing 2 Electric Boogaloo?
No, you can't electric boogaloo everything.
Yes, you can. You actually can. You can Electric Boogaloo everything. It's scientific fact.
That's what she said.
That is it. That doesn't. I don't think that one. I don't know if that actually works.
So,
Also,
okay,
just
I think
real.
before we get into Sing 2, what were your feelings on Sing 1?
I was actually about to ask you the exact same thing.
Oh.
Um,
Oh.
also, just real quick before we get into that, I just have to draw attention to this with the background. It looks like I'm talking into the dog's ear. Like I'm telling the dog. Oh, there's the mic. Telling
Yeah.
the dog secrets. Anyway, sorry. Um, as I recall, and I've only seen it the one time. As I recall, I was pretty favorable towards the original Sing.
I can't remember. You reviewed it, I think, but I
I
can't
did.
remember what your
Yeah,
review was.
I did. And as I recall, I almost went back and rewatched the review in preparation for this, but didn't. Um, as I recall, I think I was fairly complimentary about it. I thought that it was, for a kids movie, I thought it was above average. It had a good story. It had some good characters. The music wasn't too obnoxious.
No.
You know, so all in all, I felt like the first one was, an above average. I think I gave it a B. I think in
Yeah.
the original review.
Which is, I mean, as far as animated movies go, that's pretty high for you.
Yeah.
So, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. It came out at the same time as another singing or another anim. Oh, The Secret
See,
Life of Pets.
well, actually, it came out not too long after Zootopia,
Well, I really like
like a
Zootopia.
year after.
I really like Zootopia, but like, which is good because my youngest watches it probably once a week still
Yeah.
for the last 3 years. But it came out around the same time as The Secret Life of Pets, and I had high hopes for The Secret Life of Pets, and it was awful.
Hmm.
And so I think when I went into Sing, I was kind of like expecting bad, but actually I enjoy it. And oh, I'm sorry, that was a big yawn. Out of the movies that I've been forced to rewatch as a parent, it's one that I don't mind as much. Like I can dig it. Um I enjoy the character of Rosita a lot, Rosita the pig with all of the babies. And even my middle kid who is a notorious um person for not finishing a movie. Like she gets bored halfway through and goes and does something else. She likes and she says it's because the singing makes sense to her. Like they're singing in places where they should be,
Hmm.
as opposed to like Elsa being angry and singing up the mountain, you know?
Okay.
So I like it. I like the first one quite a bit.
Okay.
Um my my youngest and I do yell at the screen a lot when the little mouse guy comes on. What was the mouse character's name?
I just call him Seth MacFarlane Mouse.
Yeah.
I just call all the characters actors name animal.
Oh, okay.
So it's Matthew McConaughey,
Koala.
koala, Reese Witherspoon pig, Scarlett Johansson porcupine.
Right.
That's
Right.
you know.
So, okay. So going into this, what was your expectation of it? I know that predominantly the reason you went to see this and review it at all was because you had a cute little 10-year-old insisting on watching it.
That was basically it. I had no intention of seeing this because just from the trailers, the thing I kept getting from it was the boy. I hope they sure all learn to believe in themselves, which was the moral of the first one. Fine moral, but and I really didn't have any expectations. My best friend says if you go in with no expectations, you're never disappointed. He is wrong. It's amazing how much things you have no expectations for can still disappoint you. And
That's true. That is true.
you even reminded me before we started the review. You're like, well, remember when you came out, you were fairly positive about it. Yeah, when I came out, I often say that the problem with the format in which I review is that sometimes since you're giving everything a gut reaction, you don't have time to let things settle and things that bugged you at the time, if you thought a little bit more about them, maybe they didn't. But for instance, I feel I was very unfair to Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Hmm.
Upon reflection, and I've had time to kind of think about it.
You realized your girlfriend was right?
I'm going to say yes because you should always say that when your girlfriend gives you that lead in. More that I thought about what I didn't quite like about it, and thought about maybe why they made those choices, and it made more sense to me. And I won't say that I actually enjoyed the movie anymore, but I feel it was better than I gave it credit for. So that's kind of the downside of the way I review is it's a gut reaction, and sometimes you let your gut settle and things aren't exactly the way you thought they were. The other side to that is sometimes you let your gut settle and it turns out things are much, much worse. And I believe that is the case. The longer we took between when we saw this movie and when we actually reviewed it, the more stuff I found that I just hated, and it kept going. So I have a laundry list of things to complain about.
Okay,
This
so
movie.
let's go
Laundry
through those
list.
lists and we'll see if I can lob them back at you like Pete Sampras.
Well, before we do that, we should, for those who don't know, let's talk a little bit about the story.
Okay.
So, Matthew McConaughey Koala, who since the last film apparently has reopened his theater. It's incredibly
His
successful.
name is Buster Moon.
His name is Matthew McConaughey Koala. Is apparently now has an extremely successful theater. It's a big theater too. It's beautiful.
Yes.
And he's selling out shows, doing the kind of shows he wants to do. And apparently everything's good, but he gets all butthurt because some producer from the big city, supposedly some Vegas, says you're not good enough for the big city, and so he decides that, well, I'll show you. And he gathers his ragtag group of misfits up. They go to audition for, I'm going to call him Simon Cowell Wolf, even though he's not Simon Cowell, but that's basically who he was supposed to be.
Bobby Cannavale Wolf.
And basically, Matthew McConaughey Koala strings this elaborate series of lies together that he has somehow convinced Bono Lion, who has been out of commission for 15 years, that he's convinced him to come back and perform again. And Simon Cowell Wolf goes, oh, well, if you've got him, then I'll give you all this money for this huge production. And so Matthew McConaughey Koala just piles lie upon lie upon lie upon lie to get this show going, forcing all of his friends. Is it really
multiple lies, or is it just the one that he knows
it's
him?
Multiple lies that just kind of, and on top of that, he forces all of his ragtag group of misfit friends into uncomfortable situations without asking them, just throws them into things and then expects them to jump.
Now,
so yes,
while I agree that the antagonist in this movie was Buster Moon, I don't know that he forced them into it. They all kind of jumped in willingly. Except for maybe his secretary.
They went along out of loyalty. Every one of them, he had them do things that he was like, I don't know how to dance. He's like, shut up and dance, gorilla.
Okay, but the reason that he was there is that he wants to be a rock star. And Rosita's dream is to be on stage in this fake Las Vegas. That's why she's there, like, and, Scarlett Johansson Porcupine, or Ash, is there because she wants people to listen to her music. They're there for their own reasons.
Which is funny because she never sings her own music in this show.
Well, you're right. Maybe she wants them to hear her voice, maybe I should say. But no, the song that she's singing at the beginning when she's in the club, that's one of her songs, isn't it?
Yes, but then when they go to not Vegas and they're putting on this whole show, she's always singing songs from Bono Lion.
Well, that wasn't her mission in this movie. Was not to find her voice. Her mission was Manic Pixie Dream Porcupine. So, yeah.
I don't think that. I think her mission was to bring Bono Lion back from the darkness. Well, I have a whole issue with that too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll get to that. Anyways, back to the plot.
That's pretty much the plot, and of course,
except for the major twist in which the Crystal, Bobby Cannavale Wolf, who is the producer guy, his daughter makes it so that she ends up being the star of the show, who is played by Halsey. So yeah,
so there's just a lot, and we talked about this leaving the theater, and I honestly believe, and I know that you don't like him, but I honestly believe the biggest problem with this film is no Seth MacFarlane mouse.
I would say more than that. Okay, your point about it being the lack of Seth MacFarlane mouse is that there's no antagonist to make Buster Moon look better.
Yes,
to force him to make the right choices.
Yes, if they'd had Seth MacFarlane mouse in there, a character who they had previously established was out for himself, a little amoral, and he was the one kind of throwing these lies out. And Buster Moon was trying to fix them and trying to keep the show afloat, while Seth MacFarlane mouse was constantly selling him down the river for his own ego. Then it would make Buster Moon a sympathetic character. As it is, every bad thing that happens is his fault.
Not every bad thing.
And and I went along with it because I thought, okay, I know where this is going. We're going to
Okay.
reach the all is lost moment, and Buster is going to have a realization. He's going to say to his friends, hey guys, I'm sorry. I let my ego get carried away, and I should have just been honest and done our show our way and not tried to, he was going to learn something, and then all of his friends were going to say, but we love you anyway because you believed in us, and we're going to go do this show for you because you believed in us. Now we're going to believe in you, and everyone was going to learn a lesson. That never happened.
But see, that's a different issue than there not being Seth MacFarlane mouse, because I agree with you on that. There's no real redemptive arc here. There's no real, come to Jesus moment here where he changes it and turns his life around. Yes, he doesn't actually apologize like he should. There's no sign of remorse. That is the issue. Because really, I think you pointed out that the antagonist in the movie was supposed to be the wolf guy. I think the antagonist was Buster Moon himself. I think it is a man versus self story, not a man versus man story.
And that'd be fine if in Man versus Self, the
That
the koala man has some kind of realization.
right, and that's the
He
issue, is that he doesn't have that redemptive arc.
Yeah,
That I would
he's
agree with you on. I think we can get that without the annoying mouse. But I know one of our few disagreeing places is Seth MacFarlane. I know this. Okay. But
okay.
I'm
Well,
never going to lobby that Seth MacFarlane is needed in anything.
well, you know what? Because I love you and I want to maintain our relationship. I'm not going to say anything mean. So I'm just gonna let that one slide. And say, okay, if you didn't want Seth MacFarlane mouse, then you needed, if you weren't going to give Buster Moon any kind of redemption, then you needed some other character in there.
Right. He did, like, that was the piece that was missing. And like, I don't think that this is the end all be all. This is not going to get an A from me, but I didn't hate it as much as you did. I just think it was missing that redemptive arc.
What the reason why it's going to get a lower grade for me, and the reason why I really hate it, is because, and I know you can relate to this, because this is the field I work in, and I work with young people, and much in the same way, I have deep hatred for Glee. When I first started, I watched Glee for a couple of seasons. And when it first started, my initial thought was, oh, look at this. These characters are flawed. They're real. They're three-dimensional. They're not all good. They're not all bad. Okay, great. No, it turns out they were just awful, awful human beings.
And there's no real comeuppance.
Yeah, who were able to get away with it because they had talent.
Right.
And then I have to go teach young people in a theater that just because you might be talented, that doesn't mean you can do whatever you want.
Well, and as well as I do that the majority of them who have that personality trait don't have talent to go along with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's why I really, outside of a lot of plot holes, which I'm going to talk about here in a second, I have a whole list on this. But that's the real issue for me, and why I really don't like it. I liked the first Sing, because yes, even though it was cotton candy, believe in yourself, blah blah blah, each of the characters had a storyline. They had something they were going to accomplish, and the act of getting up there and performing was the victory.
Right.
Like, I don't even remember who actually wins the contest. I think it was the elephant.
No, they don't actually have a contest. Like,
I thought that's what the whole thing was. It was a singing
like, it was
contest.
supposed to be a contest, but then when they found out that there was no money there, like, because because it started with a lie in that one too. He started by saying that he had all of this money that he was going to, and that one was an accident. It was a typo by my favorite character, the loopy iguana. But I think that like it did. I mean, it started off as a lie. Everybody thought there was this big prize. When there turned out to be no prize, oh, sorry, that's a big yawn. When there turned out to be no prize, they still had the concert, but it wasn't a contest. There was no winner. They
Yeah,
all were winners.
but even in that, like if I remember the story correctly, yeah, it started with a lie, but in that lie, the lie was at least to serve a purpose. He was trying to save the theater.
Right.
He was trying to do something outside of stroke his own ego.
Well, I'm not sure if it was
You know,
stroke his own ego. Like, okay, so this is my thing is that I see it. Yeah, I think that it was flawed. I think he had like it was he should have been happy with a successful theater. You and I would be happy with that. But his dream was not that. His dream was to produce a big show that everybody wanted to go see. He was just pursuing that.
and again,
Like,
I have no objection to his dream being to dream big.
well, you are because you're saying
I
that
have no
the whole
objection
reason.
to him wanting wanting that brass ring. But what I have an objection to is the means to which he goes about getting it,
Right, but that's what you're
and he
but
has absolutely no remorse or has never taught the error of his ways.
but you're saying that like you could understand the goal. The goal was more lofty in the first one than it was in the second one, and I don't know that that's necessarily true. Like they're both lofty goals. He was just pursuing the next level of his goal. And yes, he went about it the wrong way. And yes, he should not have like been able to succeed at that. But I don't know that his purpose was any worse than it was in the first one. We're getting very philosophical for a movie about koalas.
You know what? I firmly believe very, very strongly that just because something is made for kids doesn't give it permission to slack off.
That's true.
That you actually have more of a responsibility to be better if you're making it for kids.
Right. Yes.
So
You
it doesn't. So kids movies don't get a pass with me.
Remind me after we're done filming to talk to you about Elmo.
Okay.
Okay. Because I found out something cool about Elmo. Anyways, so we have an issue with Buster Moon. All right. What
Big.
like yes. Um and what other things were you
Okay. So I have a
ruminating on?
couple. I have a
Okay.
couple here. This one is related back to Buster Moon.
Okay. Oh my God.
These other ones are all kind of, again, if we look at the first film, each of the characters had a
Story arc.
story arc.
Yeah.
They had something they were trying to accomplish. And as such, with this one, all of the other characters, I feel they were given a fear to overcome, but it was all of the other stories were very flat.
I did not agree.
They are very flat, resolved very quickly,
No.
and it feels like the other characters get in a 2 hour, almost 2 hour long movie, the other characters get virtually nothing to do.
I disagree. I very much disagree. Okay, I think the only person who did not have a fear to overcome was Ash. Rosita has the fear of heights, but then what overcomes that is her fear of not being able to save someone or not like her maternal instinct kicks in, you know? I think Johnny has this fear that he's not good enough and he has to work through this, you know, find this new skill, work hard to get this new skill so that he can be good enough. Okay. Even what is the wolf's name? The Halsey
Portia.
wolf. Huh?
Portia.
Portia, when it comes down to it, she has this fear that she is not going to live up to her dad's standards and that her dad's not going to approve of her.
I don't. That's another big one for me. That's a huge one for me, and this is one of the ones that I didn't think about right off the bat.
Okay.
But it's festered. So Portia Wolf, which is what's her name? What's the actor's
Portia
name?
Halsey.
Halsey Wolf is the daughter of the wolf who's producing the show, and kind of she's portrayed as this spoiled brat character who kind of muscles her way into the lead role, taking it away from Reese Witherspoon Pig.
Right.
And then when Buster Moon actually does do the right thing and gives the role back, she goes crying to her dad, and then out of nowhere kind of goes, oh wait, no, I'm with the ragtag group of misfits. Two things on this.
Okay.
So we have the big storyline about I say big storyline about Rosita losing the lead role to Ainsley Wolf.
Halsey.
Right? Halsey Wolf, right?
Okay.
When we actually get to see the show, I think Rosita would have been better off staying in the role that she was given. Ainsley Wolf gets this big freaking musical number. I honestly think the best part of the entire movie was her song during that show. This huge production number, and the lead role that they were fighting over is basically just a narrator going, "Hi, I went here, I went there."
No, because she sings
Like,
the song in the beginning where she jumps out of the spaceship.
I would still maintain the Halsey
Okay,
Wolf
but we don't
got the
actually
better song.
see the whole musical. You know, we don't actually see the whole musical, so we don't know for sure that that's true.
But that's a minor thing. Here's my bigger point.
Okay.
So the Ainsley Wolf song, again,
Halsey, just call her Portia.
You know, the best song in the show,
Mhm.
best song in the whole movie, in my opinion.
Okay.
The best number in the whole movie. It was glorious. It was beautifully animated, and you know, the song was great. And it's like, okay, wonderful. But here's the problem. The whole song is could have been me. You know, but I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to fall in line. You know, I don't want to wake up and say it could have been me. And she's singing this self-empowerment anthem, and she has this whole little section with her dad who's like, I'm not afraid of you anymore, Dad. I'll stand up to you, Dad. We have seen no evidence that that was a problem throughout the entire movie. He gave her everything she asked for.
Except for the one thing she
wanted.
wanted.
She said, I want to be the lead. He said, you're the lead. She got fired from the show.
In a very
he stood up for her.
way. You are looking at us at a very surface level. What was the one thing she wanted more than anything? Attention. Very much specifically, attention and her dad's attention. And that was the one thing that she could not get. That was the point. No, he did not give her attention. He gave her material things. He gave her the part in the show. He gave her stuff. He never paid attention to her. He didn't even know when she had left to go be in the show. Like, he did not pay attention to her. Even in the show, which, like, when she's doing the audition and she is like singing above him, he's on his phone. He did not give her attention. Like, that was evident throughout the entirety of the movie. So you missed that part. And you looked at it on a surface level.
I don't think I did.
I think you did, because you were so busy being judgmental.
Because if I'm a critic, that's kind of what I do. You know, I'm also a director. That's kind of what I do.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they did it well, but I'm saying that that was the point. She wanted the attention, like, and that's why she wanted to take the role away. And that's why she was so upset, was because that thing that she wanted, everybody's attention on her, was taken away. Okay. And the one person who could put her in line was Miss Loopy Iguana. And that's why she went back into the show, because Miss Loopy Iguana showed up and was like, get your butt up. You're going to come be in the show. I'm right. I'm right. Now, is she a great character? No, I was really ticked off at her for the majority of the movie. Also, cartoon wolves have no right to look better in clothes than I do. So, like,
well, that was another thing about this, and this has to do with the animation. Is that they're very oddly proportioned. Like, she was one of the wolf characters were the only ones. Yes, they were much taller than and skinnier than people, but they were at least in proportions. Their arms and torsos and legs were all proportional. Whereas I think Rosita is like the only other character who feels like she is in proportion. Her legs and arms are of a proper length for her body. All the other characters are just like Matthew McConaughey Koala. His feet are way too small. Johnny has a huge torso and like no legs. Same thing with Bono Lion. He's got a huge torso and stubby little legs.
Hmm.
Like the characters are very disproportionate, and so they don't animate very well.
I don't know. I feel like
And
you're
that
gonna
didn't
run
bug me
into
in
an
the.
issue like that when you try to make animals with clothes on.
I don't think it has to be a problem you run into. I mean,
Mhm.
Zootopia did it.
Yes, but if you think to Zootopia, you don't often see the full bodies of any of the animals. Plus, it's a different animation style. Like, you don't see any of this. What I mean is, besides the rabbits, the foxes, any of the bigger animals, you don't really see their whole full body. They're usually behind a desk or something. But like also, like I said, different animation style, different studios even. This isn't a Disney movie, so
That
yeah.
was another thing that really confused me. That was a minor nitpick, something I just kind of laughed at, but it is something that for a while there confused me. And again, you are absolutely right. Different animation studio, different type of story, so I get it. But with Zootopia, we're living in a world where animals are the predominant species.
Yes.
And so therefore the universe has been tailored to them.
Right.
You have bigger things for the bigger animals and smaller things for the smaller animals, right?
Yes.
In this world, everything is still to human proportion.
True.
Like I was thinking about that when they were all piling into the elevator and they were trying to get the elephant girl into the elevator with the gorilla and everybody else. It's like, why don't they have a larger elevator for the larger animals?
Yeah, that's a good point. I just
Why?
don't think that the world's
Oh, I get
as
a, I get a good point.
yes, you do. The world's not as fully developed. And it's, it's time too. How many years did they take to develop Zootopia? Like,
Well, and I get it was for
yeah,
comic effect because the comedy of it is look at these animals all trying to fit into
yeah.
the
Oh, you're
elevator.
not, like I'm glad
I
like
get
I will
that.
always agree that Zootopia is a far superior movie. Like I will definitely agree on that. And one of my favorite things about that is being able to watch the different parts of the worlds and like how they have like the big escalator and they got the little like tubes for the little lemming hamster guys and I love all of that stuff. But um yeah, I mean this isn't as sophisticated as Utopia. Just
Well, and again, I understood why they did that. Again,
yeah,
comic effect. That was supposed to.
right.
So that wasn't something that actually made me mad. It was just something I was like, why don't they have a larger elevator for her? It just seems like we're planning.
Mhm.
So yeah. So there are a bunch of my issues.
Yeah.
And they are numerous and many.
Well, and I like I said, I agree that this is a flawed movie. It was not as good as the original. Um, and there were many things that could have been done better. I agree with you on the point that there should have been consequences for his actions. Um, that never really come about. Um, but I think there was a lot of good points too. Like I loved the relationship between Johnny and Nushi, who is like played by Letitia Wright, who's the breakdancing lynx who teaches him how to dance. I loved that relationship. I loved um, Rosita's husband being so supportive of her and her kids being so supportive of her because like that was a big fear in the first one was that that they were going to be upset with her for not just being a full-time mom you know um I think that there was some really cool visuals that went on in
I
this.
will agree with that. Yeah, animation wise, it was beautiful.
I think that the actors that they chose were very good performers. Taron Egerton just blows me away with his
Oh
his
yeah.
his singing. Like he sounds like he should be a recording artist,
Yeah,
you know?
no, they all have good voices.
Oh,
No
Scarlett
lie.
Johansson. I wish that they gave her more to sing in this, but I think that her songs were pretty good. And Reese Witherspoon. Um, my issue was the relationship between Clay Calloway, which is Bono Lion, and Ash.
Scarlett Johansson Porcupine.
Was not well defined and came off as icky.
Interesting, because I didn't get the ickiness from it. I can see where you're coming from.
Like to
I
me,
get where you're coming from with it.
so it had a certain um a certain feeling, um like almost like a Star is Born kind of feeling where, or Funny Girl kind of feeling where, and this is why I say Manic Pixie Dream Porcupine. um Ash comes in, fixes the grumpy lion, and his happiness and ability to move on is predicated on this young porcupine girl.
Hmm.
And that's where the icky feeling comes in for me. And that, well, I mean, there are plenty of people who are in older, younger relationships. That is fine. But in this world, Ash is a girl in her young 20s who idolizes this guy, by all means, probably in his 60s, 70s, would you say? Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's where they're going with it.
And it's not clear if she sees him in a mentory kind of way or like a romantic kind of way. And like at the end, she like falls asleep on him in the bus, and it's just I don't know.
See, I get where you're coming from. Like to me though, it never even crossed my mind it was a romantic relationship.
Really.
It felt like they were going for a mentor protege
But would you
thing.
ever have laid your head on your mentor's chest in a bus?
No, but
So that's not a mentor. If you wouldn't, as you know, if as
or
a
a
man
or
you
a
wouldn't do
okay,
that to me,
then a surrogate father-daughter relationship.
then we should have heard some information about like her relationship with her dad. All we
No,
ever hear about is about his relationship with his wife. So really what you're left to believe is that this is a surrogate wife relationship.
see, I never felt that for a second.
You got to remember, I'm coming at this
Never.
as someone who takes a lot of psychology classes.
No, like to me, it always came off as a passing what he had. I'm not disagreeing that the whole thing is underdeveloped.
If
I'm
they
not.
would have
I'm
taken it a
not.
step further,
Okay.
you know, if they would have taken it a step further and been like, she's struggling to write a song while he's moping up in the house, and he
Okay.
comes down
Yeah.
and helps her with a chord. Okay, mentor protege. That
Okay.
never happens. He doesn't assist her or mentor her in any way. She's there to put ice on his boo-boo and heal his wounded heart. Okay?
Okay.
His wounded heart left wounded from his wife. So in that, like when you have a young, quirky, creative girl come into a situation and heal the white guy, that's Manic Pixie Dream Girl.
Okay. Okay. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying I never got the feeling it was a romantic relationship. I never got the feeling there was any kind of romance or he had any kind of, you know, I got more of a he saw the impact that he had on somebody and that made him want to, come back out of his shell and live life.
Which
I
may
didn't.
have fully been what the male person who wrote this movie intended. But the female person who watched this movie and sees relationships like this, that is the impression I got. And not to say that I'm right or I'm wrong. What I'm saying is that that kind of relationship is going to look different to different genders, and they didn't take that into account.
Okay.
So, yeah.
My big problem with that whole thing, and it was very brief, is once again showing the douchiness of Matthew McConaughey Koala when he and Scarlett Johansson Porcupine go to Bono Lyon's house, try to convince him to join to help make his lies reality. Matthew McConaughey Koala is all about come help me, come do it for me. And
Right.
Scarlett Johansson Porcupine is more about, well, we need to help him.
Right.
So there's that. But then she did this thing, and I hate this. I hate this. It's one of those cliche lines I hate so much. When you have any play, movie, or anything where a character has lost someone and someone else goes, well, they wouldn't want you to live like this. Bitch, you don't know my ex-wife, my dead wife. How do you know she didn't say on her deathbed, never sing those songs again?
It's true.
You don't know me. You don't know her. Where do you met me 5 minutes ago? Where do you get off telling me what my wife would have wanted?
I mean, if
I
I
hate that.
happen, God forbid, if we do not die at the exact same moment and I die before you and you decide you're going to start dating someone else, I mean, I'm going to haunt you to no
Yeah,
end, like Linda Blair Exorcist style.
yeah.
You better never smile again if I pass away before you. You better spend the rest of your life like bemoaning how much you miss your perfect wife who's passed away. Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for painting that incredibly bleak future. All right, all right. But yeah, I hate that. I hate when movies do that. When someone who didn't know the other person, barely knows the person they're talking to, is like, but they wouldn't have wanted that for you. You don't know. Maybe his wife was a complete bitch. Did you ever think of that? Maybe she was like Yoko Ono lying. Do you know that? No, you don't know
Oh,
that.
come on. You know that now I have to stand up for Yoko Ono and remind you that
No.
documentary that just came out that proved that she never actually split up the Beatles. It was all a big fallacy, probably because she was an Asian woman. So it's racist and sexist.
Anyway.
But yeah, I did not like that relationship. That was my major problem with the movie, is that was not developed in a way that the relationship was clear, and so it came off in a particular way. I also think that you were right. They did not give Rosita enough to do in this one.
They didn't give any of the other ones enough to do.
I think Johnny had a pretty big storyline throughout, but yeah. But like I said, overall, it suffered. I just don't have the same issues with it that you did, so obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a part of me that thinks that you thought about how the fact that Seth MacFarlane didn't get to be in this one and you just got really upset about it.
No. No, I am not that biased. I understand that they probably thought his character had nothing to do. Plus, he's working on 3 different TV shows at the moment. So, when was he going to find the time?
He's always working on 3 different TV shows, but yeah, his character had no arc in this. But yeah.
But I'm saying his character, based on what they set it up in the first one, would have been an ideal person to put in there to actually move the plot forward and not have your supposed hero be a complete and total ass.
See, and I think that, and you don't even remember this character from the first one, but if they would have had his best friend in the first one, who is Nana Noodleman's grandson, who was basically the guy who bankrolled a lot of his stuff in the first one. If he would have had him there, like he acted as in the first one, and he could have been in this one, was the guy going, I don't know if this is the right choice. Are you sure that you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do that? Do you really think that taking Rosina out of that role is fair to her? Like, he did not have a voice of reason in this one. And that is what that character, the John C. Reilly character, was in the first one.
Okay, well then fair. If they'd had that in there, that still would have worked.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to make with the fact that they didn't have Seth MacFarlane Mouse is that our main character is an ass and is
I mean, that's
rewarded
true.
for
It's true.
being an ass.
But you
and
know
suffers.
who's not?
Hmm.
Well, you're adorable and I love you. But also Loopy Iguana Lady. I love her. I love her. I love every time her eyeball falls out. I love every time she like yells at somebody and then gets all shaky afterwards. Like, I love how she's like headbanging to music, driving her Ferrari down the road. I love her. Hmm.
I have no strong opinion one way or the other. I know I'm wrong.
No, it's just the way that
I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna change the name to. No, never mind. So I thought I had a joke. I didn't have a joke. Moving on from it.
no, it's the way you said it reminded me of a segment on Parks and Recreation when Leslie's trying to set up a dating profile and her best friend's going through the list of all these animals and she goes, love them, love them, love them, love them. And she gets to like tortoises or something and she's like, no opinion.
So I think we've gone around the bend on this one. Is there anything else you want to add before we grade this sucker?
No,
And
except for they did a really cool thing with the posters when you were looking for
the
a delivery
posters,
poster.
I do love those posters.
The posters were really cool. How they had like was it they had
They had the actors playing them facing an audience, and then their shadow was the character.
yeah, I thought that was really
So that
cool.
was so my hats off to the teaser poster designer.
Yeah, that was
Those
really
those
cool.
looked really really good. So yeah, that's
But yeah. And I think that Halsey did better than I would have expected of her.
oh yeah. Well, like I say, that her song was my absolute favorite of the
Yeah.
entire movie.
So, which I mean, she's got a beautiful voice, so that makes sense. But I think like she had some pretty good comic timing throughout the rest of it too. So, yeah, but I honestly, do you want to do grades?
Yeah, let's grade it. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm gonna give it like a B minus. It was palatable, as in I will be able to handle it when I'm forced to rewatch it 87 times. But definitely not on par with the first one. Definitely has some issues, like some flaws that I think should have been worked out.
Okay. I'm going to C minus.
Mhm.
I'm going to C minus on this one.
Yeah.
It was shallow. It was flat. It didn't have any of the heart of the first one. I'm sorry. I know I overjudge things and all that, but I thought it taught some pretty terrible lessons.
No, I would agree
and I
that
think,
was that
and
yeah.
again, living in that world and trying to deal with kids who watch these things and get that feeling that if I can act any way I want and people just have to put up with it. This isn't Kermit the Frog wanting to go to Hollywood because he can make millions of people happy.
No.
It was Matthew McConaughey koala wanting to put on a show to make himself feel important, and
Right.
being Max Bialystock the whole way. So no, it was decent enough. It was like I'll agree. I'll use the word palatable. I'll cop to that. But no, I thought this was pretty terrible when you get right down to it. So so I'm going C- on it.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say unless you can have a clear conversation with your children afterwards about the consequences of actions, then yeah, don't show it to your kids then.
So all right, so that is Sing 2, and yes, much a deep, very long conversation for a kids movie, but the movie itself was almost 2 hours long. So,
Was
which
it?
is yeah, it was almost 2 hours long. That's a
Not
long
as
time,
long as Spider-Man.
which we will get to here in a minute. So yes, so another one for the gauntlet. We're making our way through the last films of 2021, and when we come back, it is time to look at the first movie of the post-pandemic era to rack up over $1 billion worldwide at the box office. Yes, Spider-Man returns, and he has no way home. So,
Oh.
uh, so from Drive Home Reviews, and for myself and my lovely girlfriend Rebecca, this is Brandon saying, drive safe, and we will see you at the movies.